Today is Friday, November 14th. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. Welcome back to CityCast Denver, the show about the city where the cheapest house on the market right now is a literal shack with no bathroom, no kitchen, no bedrooms, and not even flooring. For just $245,000, you can own your own gutted shed in Southwest Denver. Does this make anyone feel better about the economy or Denver's real estate
value?
Market?
I guess I'm just going to keep giving my paychecks to my landlord forever.
Right.
My favorite is the descriptions on Zillow. Like,
Yeah.
Now's your chance.
Homey.
Own this.
Cozy.
Or tear it
Natural
down.
light. Natural flooring. It's dirt.
Get in while you can.
Yeah, this is that starter home you've all been looking for, a shack. I'm host Bree Davies. It's Friday. We're looking back at the news of the week, including Governor Polis' plan to make your car insurance cheaper and a new study that says the arts in Colorado are contributing billions to the economy. We're coming to you from the beautiful Dude IDK Studios in 5 Points, the upstairs version. You've heard her voice. Producer Olivia Jewel Love is with me. Hi, Olivia.
Good morning.
Good
How are you?
morning. Good to see you. We've been having a girls' week.
Girls.
Paul's on staycation, everyone. He's fine.
Paul's fine.
Paul's fine. And we have a brand new guest today. He's a graphic novelist, comic artist, a writer, an educator, and probably more. R. Allen Brooks, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Girls Week.
Girls
Girls
Week.
Week.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do any erasure of our first guest with
You
you.
can be an honorary part of Girls Week.
Thank you.
It's just a joke we have whenever Paul's out of town. We're like, Girls Week.
Well, I'm honored to be here for Girls Week.
Well, let's actually talk. We wanted to have you on. Actually, you're a friend of Paul's, and he booked you in particular because you have this really cool short film debuting tonight at Lighthouse Writers Workshop. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah. So it's called Always Most of the Time. The premise is that after a breakup, a woman learns that she can time travel and goes back and tries to fix all the things that she thinks she did wrong in the relationship. And ultimately,
Surprise!
that's not the answer. You know?
Really? Oh, that sounds like so much fun. This is a project you worked on with your childhood friend, right? I read in Westward.
Yeah. So Victor V. Hogan, he's a director. He's been an editor in film for maybe a decade. He's won an Emmy. And he and I have been friends since I was 14 and he was 16, which I always point out to remind him that he's older than me. You know?
Hey, that 2 years makes a difference at
Right.
some points in life, you know, when he turns 21 and you're not,
Right.
you know.
He's flying into town,
fun.
so he'll be here tonight for it, and we'll do a Q&A afterwards. But it's just beautiful because not only do we get to make the movie, but so much of working on it together is a culmination of our decades-long friendship, which is just really beautiful.
Really beautiful. It's cool when you can collaborate with a friend on something creative. It's like, it's hard to explain.
Right.
It's like making something
Yeah,
together.
and you know, also in terms of talking about men and women's relationships and trying to be vulnerable and open, it's important. It was important for me that this story is told with someone else who understands, who can protect that vulnerability.
Yeah.
And Victor is that dude. You know, that's part of what allows us to be friends is that we are both like militantly open-hearted.
I love that phrase. That's great.
I like that
This
reaction
is
for
the
both
best
of you.
friend story I've heard in a long time. I love good friend stories.
Best friends.
Because like
Right.
you never know how you're going to connect. Like you meet somebody randomly, but then when all these things align about yourselves that
Yeah.
like make you friends forever, that's really
I feel like I'm not really a random friends person. I'm like adopt people kind of person. I adopt introverts. That's what my friends say is like I go target an introvert and I'm like, hi, do you want to be my friend? And they're like, no. And I'm like, yes.
Yes, you do. Now I'm
It
going to
is
make
decided.
you.
And I'm like, I've been friends with my friends since middle school. So
Nice.
Yeah,
but
you do have some
We
very
were
deep
talking about
friendships.
that when I just saw them and they were like, you really forced your way into our lives. I'm like, well,
Honestly, I'm like an introvert, extrovert, and I super appreciate when someone has that gumption
Oh,
to be like, hi, I'm going to be your friend. And I'm like,
I've
thank you.
always been that person for better or for worse.
Yeah, I'm an introvert too, actually. So even though I'm good at talking to people, so actually when people are like, I'm going to be your friend, I'll be like, hey, look, a diversion. And then I
Yeah,
disappear.
they try to get out of it really quickly. They're like, no, thanks. And I'm like, it doesn't work
I'm
that
like, sorry, I find you interesting.
I'm like, hee hee.
Now I have to think about it. I don't know how I've made my friends.
How do you make friends? Call in.
Honestly, we
Right.
get that question a lot
True.
from folks who move here and say, how do I meet people? And
You
it's-
become a CityCast Denver neighbor, and then you come to our neighbor meetups, and then
Yeah.
you meet lots of other people that like the same stuff you
which
do.
has legitimately happened
Whoa!
at our events.
I saw people exchanging phone numbers at one of our neighbor events.
Nice.
Made my little heart.
CityCast bringing people together.
I'm waiting for the marriage once.
Oh
at
my
some
God.
point. That happened in my old
Propose
band.
now.
We had some people that came to our show to see us play and met there and then got married.
Oh,
I know.
That's pretty
so
cool.
you never know.
CityCast love story. When?
Well, speaking of that, before we get to the news, let's talk about members, our neighbors. December 18th, we have the Denver is Denver Awards sponsored by Denver Health. We'll be partying on stage in our fanciest getup at the Oriental Theater, and we want you to come celebrate everything that makes Denver great. We're going to have celebrity guests, killer photo ops, lots of reasons to shower praise on people that we love and you love, and we need your help to do this because we're taking nominations for several categories. Olivia, what have we got? We've got Denver, the big award.
The biggest one
Denver
is the
Denverite.
Denverist Denverite. Somebody giving Denver. Like, can you? I lost my little list. I think we have some of like best small
Best-
business,
yes.
best chef, best artist, best reporter, maybe.
And these don't have to be new by any means. They're just
Your fave.
people in the or that are doing something this year that felt like especially resonant with you. You can buy tickets, make nominations. If you're a CityCast Denver neighbor, you get a discount on those tickets. You should have gotten an email with a special promo code, but we'll put a link in the show notes. And now you have a reason to get that old prom dress out of the basement like I'm doing. And
Please.
putting
Need
it on.
it.
Okay, let's get to the news. Our top story, car insurance rates in Colorado are some of the highest in the nation. CBS reports that Colorado drivers pay more than $3,200 a year for full coverage, which is 30% more than the national average. Olivia, did this surprise you? I have to say, I don't know what I'm paying for car insurance. It just comes out of my account every month.
Wow.
Must be nice.
I know. I was like, it's USAA, so I know it's like a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
USAA. I don't know that this is surprising. Colorado has the like reputation of having really high like coverage as far as like in my world. That's what I know. But I'm also part of the age group that has higher insurance costs. Because people like early 20s, late
sure.
20s people.
Yeah.
I'm not a man, but like they usually have higher if early 20s, but like people in their 20s have higher car insurance.
I mean, that kind of makes sense. That's when I got in a bad car accident. That was definitely probably my fault.
Well,
I resented it. I remember at that age. I also resented not being able to rent a car.
yeah, the rent-a-car
until
thing.
you're 25.
Yeah.
You can buy your way out of that now, though.
Yeah?
That's a thing.
Oh, wow.
Money
Really?
makes the world. Yeah, you can buy your way out.
I don't know if that's good or bad. but-
I don't know either, but
Oh.
it's legal. I'm not telling you to do
Okay.
something legal. It's a thing you can do now. You can pay money. But anyway,
But anyway, okay. I think part of the big news of this is Governor Polis has taken this on as one of his key issues lately. He released the roadmap to reduce auto insurance premiums that he says will address key drivers behind this high cost, including road safety and reduction of auto thefts. His goals are to lower traffic-related fatalities and injuries by 22% by June of 2027. He plans to do things like install more cameras in high traffic areas, which feels like a not
we love to do that here,
thing
don't we?
Right.
people
We're really into that.
want a lot in Colorado right now. In high traffic areas and work zones, increase sobriety checkpoints, and there's new laws regarding cell phone usage while driving, seatbelts for kids, and chains for commercial trucks that have been recently introduced and passed that he thinks will help this. I don't know if I'm making the connection here between all of those things and lower rates, but I don't know. It says-
Making the roads safer, less crashes, less danger. The less crashes you get in, the less your insurance costs.
True. But what's really interesting what I found was interesting is the biggest factor in Colorado's auto insurance rates is something that no law or regulation can really address. The biggest reason our rates are so high is hail. I've never had hail damage. I feel really lucky that but I also have never had a garage. So I don't know if it's just luck of the draw, but have you guys dealt with hail damage?
No, I haven't dealt with that.
I drive a car that already has a couple dents in it, so a
So you're
couple
like,
more
whatever.
dents would not be, on the top of my priority list, honestly. But yeah.
If it's the highest reason, the reason for our high rates, I think it's interesting that Polis's plan is to have the state send out hail alerts similar to what it does for wildfires and missing kids.
It's interesting because I feel like I'm already getting those. Well, like I feel
In
like
the form of like a weather alert.
well, I'm already on the like Jeffcom emergency alert thing where I get texts because I live in Jeffco and they send out texts for severe weather and things like that. And I'll get a text that'll be like, whatever mile per hour winds and golf ball sized hail. So I feel like I already get that.
I guess all I get is HELL alerts, and that's just like federal government updates.
Oh, I block those. Those are on the block list for me.
Right. I don't want these HELL alerts.
Don't give me that.
But what I found funny was CBS quoted Carol Walker, executive director of the Rocky Mountain Insurance Information Association, who says most hailstorms happen between 3 and 6 p.m. when many people are on the road. So hail alerts may have a limited impact. She's basically like, they happen during rush hour, so
Right.
good luck.
Yeah, that does happen. Though I'm kind of like noticing a theme here with this hail being one of these big factors that's making the insurance go up, because I know that, because I used to work in the foothills, and I know that a lot of people in the foothills have trouble getting home insurance because of the
weather.
fire risk. Because of like the 285 corridor has like the risk of fire is very severe, and it would be a catastrophic event if something happened up there. So a lot of the premiums are extremely high for people who live in those areas, and they're like, they have to be raking slash and everything every day to like be defensible and like mitigate the risk on their
fire
property.
risk, yeah.
But like I've heard stories of people getting dropped by their insurance, like not being able to get coverage just because of the areas they live in. So
Sure.
like that's another thing. I mean, I guess you can control where you live, but if you already have a house, like, you can't just drop everything and go buy a new house. That's
Also, there's risks everywhere.
there's risks
you live.
everywhere. And also like with our changing environment, we're
Right.
only going to see more of that. And like, I would assume, I mean, I don't know how the changing environment affects hail and stuff, but like, I wonder if we can expect more of that too.
That's a really good question with
So,
climate change.
I don't know. It's kind of interesting, like putting the burden on the insured. But I mean, that's kind of a common theme for insurance in general. So I can't say I'm super surprised.
Yeah. Well, Polis says uninsured drivers are also driving up rates. So he's planning to make upgrades to motor insurance identification database to, quote, make it easier for officers to verify insurance in real time and penalize those without it. And he's also pushing district attorneys to step up prosecution of auto body shops that waive insurance deductibles, which is actually against state law. So there's some different interesting angles it seems like he's taking to this issue.
I actually saw a overhead sign on 6th Avenue on my way here today that said driving without insurance is a crime.
I saw that too.
So I was like, oh,
Al, do you find those helpful at all? I mean, I just wonder because I pass under those and I'm like, well, there's that.
There's a reminder. You and I were talking just briefly yesterday. I was saying it's a point of pride and contention for me that my car is at 300,000 miles.
oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. And
Good for you.
Yeah, but it also means that I'm not doing full coverage,
I'm not either.
Yeah.
I have a 2005 Honda CRV. It's
2005, same.
It's lovely,
Yeah.
but it gets me where I need to go,
Yeah.
And I wondered about the full coverage aspect of that.
Yeah. So I wonder how much all of this will affect, my premiums. I don't know.
Because I kind of same, I'm with the like lowest
Yeah.
rates. Olivia, you have a deep secret about this. Where are you? Where is your car insured?
It's a deep secret. People get mad at me on Reddit about it.
Tune in, rise up, Reddit.
W's in the chat. So my car has my name and my mom's name on it. It's co-titled. And so that means that it's co-titled in Kansas. And so I have it insured in Kansas.
Which is affordable, more affordable.
It's more affordable. And I also have a Kansas tag because of that, which people have dragged me for. Okay, I pay my Colorado
police that are not police in this city are
everyone says I need to be
crazy.
paying for the roads I'm driving on. I pay my taxes. Okay, please. I mostly work from home too, so I'm sure I'm gonna get destroyed for that. But at any rate, it is co-titled in Kansas. I talked to my insurance agent. They said this is the most
Perfectly legal.
economical thing to do is to do it in Kansas. So
Why would you get?
my parents, my family lives in Kansas. My
family
family lives there. I'm on my parents' plan still, and that is how that works. So sorry.
Divided alliances.
You know, I don't know. I just I don't know. Like, I was worried when I moved here that I was going to have to switch, and you know, I just have heard horror stories from, like, because there's so many people like me who move out here after college.
Sure.
And they're like, oh my God, registration and insurance is so expensive in Colorado. Because I come from Kansas where stuff is like generally pretty cheap. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, as a fellow adult mama's girl whose mom still has access to her bank account, I fully understand this situation that you're in.
It's privilege. It's privilege for sure. And I recognize that. And that it is what it is.
Do you think the expensive car insurance fits in with all the people in Denver who complain about expired tags? I wondered if this is something they would take up. We just see this a lot on Reddit as people get very mad about people driving around with expired tags. I personally don't understand.
I mean, I see it a lot. I do see it a lot. I can't say that I have strong feelings about it, but I'm like, oh, okay, so you've been able to drive around with that for like a year?
Yeah.
You know?
I bet it's probably, I mean, this is just a guess for sure, but I would guess it's probably more common because it's not displayed on your car.
Sure.
You know, with the tags, everyone can see, which like doesn't stop people, obviously, but everyone can see that your tag's expired. But like, you know, nobody until you get pulled over is looking at your insurance or until you crash into them. So,
but it is a nightmare for folks like us that don't have full coverage.
Yeah.
Get hit by someone without insurance, and you're kind of just effed,
Right.
you know?
yeah, that's scary. And like, I can see why people would be mad about that. That sucks. If you're, you know, doing your part, paying your insurance, and then somebody runs into you and they don't have it, that's a bummer. Because then that makes your rate go up and stuff. And it's just, I don't know. I can see why people be mad.
Well, don't worry, you got Polis on your side.
Polis on my side.
All right, well, let us know what you think. Is this a big deal to you? Do you think that Polis investing his time and energy into this is important for us as a state? I mean, saving money at this point in time is huge for so many folks in our community. So maybe this is just one financial burden that could get a little bit easier. Give us a call, 720-500-5418, and let us know what you think. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, more news. This episode is brought to you by the Denver Botanic Gardens. Experience the magic of the holidays with the Blossoms of Light at Denver Botanic Gardens, celebrating its 40th year. Walk through a mile of immersive, luminous light displays, which run nightly from November 21st through January 11th. Plus, enjoy holiday treats and warm drinks available for purchase at Offshoots Cafe and the Hive Garden Bistro. Oh, and Blossoms of Light is celebrating 40 years with a birthday bash, one night only on December 3rd. Enjoy themed cocktails, cupcakes, cookies, and roasted nuts. Carolers performing through the evening, plus free Holospecs glasses to view the lights. Also, watch a 4-year-old wear those glasses. The Holospecs blows their minds. Buy tickets now for all of the sparkling action happening during Blossoms of Light. Tickets must be purchased online in advance. None will be available at the door. It's a seasonal must. You got to do it. It's like I love Denver traditions. This is one of the best Denver traditions. Kids love it. My mom, who's a grandma, loves it. You know, Paul be loving it. Paul and Megan love it. Get tickets now at botanicgardens.org. That's botanicgardens.org. This episode is brought to you by Curious Theater Company. Running now through December 7th, check out Curious Theater's regional premiere of Job, a psychological thriller by Maxwell Friedlich that captivated Broadway audiences last year. The New Yorker calls Job engrossing, disturbing, and frequently funny, and the New York Times called it a chic, relentless Broadway thriller. Job stars Curious Artistic Company member Michael Morgan and Tully Sandvold and is directed by company member Josh Hartwell. Now in its 28th season, Curious Theater is Denver's home for stories that push boundaries and spark conversation. It's the kind of theater that sticks with you long after the lights come up. Tickets can be purchased at curioustheater.org, or you can call the box office at 303-623-0524. Tickets start at just $28, and CityCast Denver listeners get 10% off with promo code CityCast28. Go to curioustheater.org for tickets and more information. Okay, we're back. The CBCA, which is the Colorado Business Committee for the Arts, released their economic activity study of Metro Denver culture this week, which they describe it as, quote, illustrating how arts, culture, and scientific nonprofit organizations are impacting the local economy and contributing to employment, education, tourism, cultural engagement, and overall economic activity. Just some numbers really quick. The CBCA said that economic activity from Colorado's cultural sector generated $3.1 billion in 2024, which is actually up 19% from 2022. They pointed out that it has gone up considerably since pandemic impacts, obviously, which impacted arts tremendously with not being able to do things in person. Employment within the arts, culture, and scientific organizations is at an all-time high at 14,466 jobs. They say this is an all-time high, and that includes full-time, part-time, and contract jobs that they were looking at from 2022 to 2024. Alan, you are part of this cultural economy. What do you think when you hear those big numbers, 3.1 billion generated from the world you work in?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm part of the cultural and not the economy part.
That's a really great way to sum up my feelings as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of good opportunities to work with major organizations, multiple museums, just a lot of stuff. But it feels like I make a living almost in spite of that. I make a living off of my ability to reduce my expenses and drive a car that's past 300,000 miles,
Yeah. Do you have any other jobs outside of the arts, or are you one of the artists that survives on or makes money from your art to
art
live?
is my full-time job.
That's amazing.
And it is certainly from being scrappy and frugal, and I mean, I certainly feel blessed to be able to live as an artist.
I always feel like this is the thing is like, I made a noble choice, but like, it's just my choice to follow my dream, which for some reason doesn't necessarily pay all my bills.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a tough balance.
There's that thing of, owning a home or health insurance or whatever that stuff is. And, I've read about those things, but they're not particularly practical as an artist. And if anybody sees the things that I do, they're generally like, oh, wow, you're really doing big things.
Yeah. I mean, you are.
Well, thanks.
But does it translate?
Also, it doesn't translate into big figures. It is definitely a choice. There was an artist who was an inspiration, Melvin Van Peebles. He passed away a couple years ago. And he said in his pursuit of art that at a certain point he realized I can either have what I want or do what I want. And I chose do what I want.
Yeah.
And I made the same choice, living a creative life. Ultimately, that's the most important thing to me. But it would also be nice to sometimes have a little of what I want too.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
The perks. I was actually just visiting my friend Mo Graham's studio over here today, and she is making her full-time living off of art.
Nice.
But we talked about this, which is what I know a good percentage of artists do is you have a partner who maybe has a job that has the insurance or, and that's her situation. That's my situation for sure too. Like, this job provides health insurance and my husband's job does not because he's a touring musician. But those are the trade-offs that we made to, both be able to do what we want to do. But that infrastructure just doesn't really exist for artists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no health insurance provided by a major institution that you could apply for as an artist or something.
Yeah, so I even serve on a couple of boards. And when I was asked, I was like, listen, the only way I make a living is by generating activity. And so if it's going to be a lot of time commitments with the board, that's time I'm taking away from generating activity.
Which is something I think a lot of folks don't know about how boards are made up. Like in art institutions, for instance, a lot of times it's not folks directly working in the arts, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's because artists can't afford. I couldn't afford to be on a board.
Yeah, because most of the other people on the board, are not artists. You know? Like there are people who are executives and that kind of stuff. And so I'm like, you're asking for volunteer time, but volunteer time is not just volunteer time for me. It's actually me not making money, you know? And so, yeah, I have to kind of balance that out. Like, yeah, what that means. And fortunately, both boards have been very understanding of that, but it's a thing.
It's a thing. It's an unspoken thing, I feel like.
It's always interesting because I've I'm fairly new into the like adult workforce, I guess, but like, I've always worked as a journalist, and art has always been like something for me that has been more of a hobby and more of just like a passion thing. And there have been a few times
you picked the lucrative career of journalism.
Big money.
Well, and it becomes points where like, I get really into, something I'm making, like I make jewelry, and a lot of people are like, oh, you should sell this. This could be a business for you. That would be really cool. And it's such a hard, kind of thing to decide, because it's like, I love to do this, and I would love to be able to fund doing this because supplies are not free.
Right.
But, at a certain point, I'm like, I have a full-time job, and like doing another job on top of it, is it going to take that passion away from the art for me? Like sometimes it kind of feels like it for me personally. And I know everyone's on a different page than that, but like, it's hard. I'm like, when I'm trying to fulfill orders and like, make money and I'm monetizing this, it like,
Can change the way
it's
you
hard.
feel.
It makes it feel different. And it's like something I've struggled with a lot. Cause I'm like, it would be nice to have, another stream of income and like being able to do that. But I'm like, I don't know if I'm willing to give up that feeling.
That question of art versus commerce is like, it's a real thing. Like in terms of like being able to hold on to what inspires you, what made you want to create in the first place, but also figure out how to sell it and how to make a living at it. And generally the way I approach it is I create the thing that I'm inspired to create, and then I figure out how to sell it.
Yeah.
Because if I try to create things for sale,
Yes.
It doesn't work. Doesn't feel good.
And I can see where sometimes that then changes the direction of something that you're making, because you're like, oh, I'm making it for I'm not making it for an imagined audience. There is maybe a real audience here. And like, I can see the pluses and the minuses of that.
You become an Amazon fulfillment center at a certain point.
Right.
You're
Which is,
fulfilling
okay.
instead of...
That reminds me of a funny story. My old roommate, Colleen, used to make knitted Yeezys for kids. Like
what is a Yeezy?
Like the Yeezy shoe when they first came out.
Oh.
She would make these knitted versions of them, and she would sell them. But then like all of a sudden she got a bunch of interest because like shoe heads like were like, look at this. And so then she was having to crank them out. And it was like, I watched her just become so disillusioned with the thing that she loved to make, but then she became an Amazon, and then people were trying to bargain with her. And of course, from behind the scenes, I'm thinking she's not even charging enough for the labor that she's put into these, but value is so subjective, So it's a tough thing to balance.
I will say, we had this conversation about insurance beforehand. Before I was a full-time artist, I was an insurance agent.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bury the lead. Shut up.
Basically, it was the only time in my life I wasn't creating art. I was like, for all of this struggle, I can work a square job and make a decent living. And I guess the squarest thing I thought of was insurance.
I know. I was like,
That is
literally,
pretty
that
square.
sounds like a cubicle job.
Yeah, I bought like 4 suits. That was terrible. Suits. Okay.
You're like,
I
I
wear
can't
it
do
to
this
the Denver
cosplay.
Stepperite Awards.
You guys are
okay?
not as incensed as I am about the suits. It's all right. But
No, wear them. Wear them to the awards show. We want to
but
see
it was
it.
all commission, right? And
Yeah.
so that meant that I made no money unless I sold,
So much
which
pressure.
was a hard position to be in. But when I moved into art, it was a lot of the things that I learned, I was able to use in terms of like,
Yeah, it's kind of the same.
yeah,
vibe.
how to like build a client base and, like to get up and hustle. And, like I was able to transfer a lot of those skills. And if people were mad at me about insurance, it was really actually hard for me because it's fundamentally something I don't care about, But if people are mad at me about like my art, I can take that. You know what I mean? Like I can deal, because generally the reason they're mad is because it's my belief on human rights or whatever that thing is, know? And like, it doesn't take the same toll, but I was able to transfer a lot of those skills of building a business and sales to my art.
That's really interesting. I think that we don't think as much about how these other side jobs or other things we do inform how we end up doing our creative work. But I worked in retail for 17 years. I learned how to talk to people.
Yeah.
I learned how to talk to strangers. And that helped me tremendously as a journalist, having to cold call people and maybe ask them about something really personal, and I just had that understanding of how to have a tough, because I mean, I had tons of people, also I was a waitress. I had tons of people scream at me. I had people throw stuff at me, like in both jobs.
Yeah, I was going to say being a children's camp counselor taught me how to dodge it.
I also was one of those.
Reflex.
Also knew how to deal with Banana's parents. But also I'm thinking about my brother has been an artist our whole lives, and he is a full-time postman. He was like, I get to walk around all day by myself. I just listen to music. I listen to podcasts. I talk to my neighbor. I have my route. I talk to my neighbors, and then I go home at night and I make the art I want to make. And my brother's like maybe done one show in his life. He just makes art because he wants to make it, and he feels like, if I did this as a job, it would constrain me in a way that I don't like. So this is the path I've chosen.
That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, so I think this is important because it feels like all of this is us looking at art through the lens of capitalism, right?
Yes.
Yes.
But if you recognize that art has value just because you created it, like just because something came out of your soul and you brought it into the world, it has value.
Feels good to
and
make.
you made the effort to
Feels
make
good to do it.
Right.
You made it into fruit. You didn't just think it. You actually
You
did the
made
work
it.
to create it.
It's healing to you, and that is great by
That's
itself.
the main reason I do it.
You know?
I'm like, I feel better when I do this, and that's enough.
And deciding to make a business of it is a whole separate thing. If you want to do that, cool. But like if you don't, that's great too.
It's just that is the first reaction I always get, which like I'm flattered because it means people like the stuff I make and they want to have it.
Right.
But like it's just hard when it's like, oh, are you going to sell that? Like, are you going to make an empire? And I'm like, no, I just want to
But
play
that
with
is that lens,
beads.
right? That's a lot of like the only value of art is how much money do you make off of it, which is not, I don't agree with
The
that.
money
It's
thing
true.
is interesting, though. Getting back to the CBCA study, I was listening to this on CPR's podcast, Colorado Today.
Sure.
And the fact that the amount of people that go to pro sports games in Colorado is like about 5 million. And compared to cultural events, which is almost 15 million, which is like crazy, but also I feel like not that crazy because I was like, think about, because, you know, they listed our teams like Rockies, Broncos, Nugs, Avalanche, Rapids, soon to be Summit FC. Isn't that the women's
That's the
team?
women's team,
But
yeah.
like, think about how many more opportunities to go to like art shows there are than just those however many teams. Like there are so many plays, so many shows. Like I feel like there's just so many more cultural things than these however many, you know, sports teams. And so I wasn't super surprised by that number. But like, I mean, I guess I was surprised because like there's such an emphasis on the like capitalism aspect of pro sports.
Yeah.
And so like I was like, huh.
I mean, their bodies are literally worth money. Like they're talked about in that way, which is wild to me. But the capitalism lens really is such an important part of this, Alan. I'm glad you brought that up. I was talking to my husband about this last night because he went to school for music business and he's a full-time musician. And he was like, you have to understand when we say economic impact, it's like, he was like, how much did Taylor Swift's 2 shows in Colorado bring in economic impact wise? And I looked it up. $140 million to Colorado's gross domestic product. Wow. $140 million from 2 shows from this one person, and all the impacts of everybody buying tickets for that, but also all the money that they spent at the arena itself and going out to dinner and da 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 da. So it's a big picture, but also like you're saying, I think, Olivia, it's a small picture. I feel I don't ever know how to see this another way because I grew up in the art world. Like my parents actively took me I bought my first piece of art when I was 10 because I was being taught like purchase art from artists. This is a crucial part of our ecosystem and our belief system as my parents, which they passed on to me. But like, I don't know if it hits everybody the same. If you didn't grow up in a household like that, maybe it's not, it's just, we see things differently. And my parents taught me value art, especially art made by people, you know.
I feel like there's so much like ingrained cultural stuff that people don't even think about though, that is part of their lives. Like, I don't know, like going to the Nutcracker every Christmas. Like lots of people do that. I grew up doing that. And, you know, I mean, obviously not as a child, but like I never really think about like, I'm going to support the arts now. I'm just like, no, this is a winter tradition. I'm going to see the people perform the Nutcracker.
Totally.
And it's like, but that, you know, is part of this. And all those, you know, things you go to when you go to a play or you go to, you know, the art museum. Like I'm thinking about when I grew up going to field trips in Kansas City, like so many different museums and like art museums and stuff. I just like grew up with that and took that for granted and was like, yeah. And like, when did we ever get to go to a sports game for school? Not much.
I remember our regular contributor, Justine Sandoval, talking about they would take kids to Nuggets games because the Nuggets were like so bad.
Oh my God.
Or the Nuggets would come and like do stuff, which is like, that's a different Denver in a different time. But I like your point that like, there's all these little ways that you're actually probably participating in the arts economy and you don't necessarily realize it.
Yes.
Maybe you're buying art at the Chris Kindle Market from someone that's made art. That's part of the economic impact. Or you're going to Buntport Theater or the Bug to see something, but you're also going to the DCPA every year or going to, you know, a Broadway production that's coming through Denver. So there's a lot of layers and levels to that.
Well, so this is interesting. It makes me think about a lot of times when I meet someone and they say, what do you do? And I say, like, I'm an artist. They are almost always asked, what's your real job? You know, like the art can't be the real job. How do you feel when
someone asks you that?
Well, I'm so used to it at this point that it kind of doesn't register, but also, you know, I'm like, well, this is the real job. But for about 3 seasons, I hosted a podcast for the Museum of Contemporary Art.
Right.
And one of the guests, he did a residency in South America. And he said when he was there and people talked to him, he said he was an artist. Their reaction was much more like here when people say they're a doctor. Like they were like, you're an artist. Wow, that's really, you know, like just a different kind of cultural engagement about it.
Yeah.
I think that there's been kind of like, I'm thinking about my parents' generation. Like, I don't know that it really was presented as an option, you know, for those people. Like my dad became a carpenter when he was 18 and I don't know that he ever even knew that he could be an artist. Like, I think it was kind of a survivalist thing of like, these are the trades that are going to make money. And like, this is what you do. And just like my generation and probably a little bit before me of like, you have to go to college. Like there was
which we are learning is maybe not been the greatest thing
with our lack of people in the trades. But it was like, if you don't go to college, you're not going to have a job. You're not going to like have a good life. And so I feel like these generations get this information pounded into them, you know, when they're growing up of like, this is what you have to do to become a functioning member of society. And often like the aspect of art being part of that is left out.
Yeah.
Ellen, I just thinking about what you were saying about it being a real job or not. The thing that I hear most often is I will say, oh, my husband is a touring musician. Do you go on tour with him? I'm like, do you go to work with your husband? I don't. Like, sure, I'll go visit him if he's like, we just went to Paris because he was in Paris performing. It was like, hey, I have the plane ticket paid for. Let's get you guys out here because we're already here. It's like saving money. But like, I have to explain, like, no, that's really his job. Right. It's his job. Of course, he teaches drum lessons. He works at a community college teaching drum lessons as well as private drum lessons because there is a little bit of a bonus to working for an institution that you can't really get anywhere else as an artist. But like, it's literally and legitimately been his job since he graduated high school and was in college for music business. But like, it's a real job. And I find that such a strange comment. And I know people don't mean it. Yeah. Usually they're not trying to be rude. But
I saw Brandi Carlile's wife at her show at Red Rocks last year. So
I mean, if my husband was like Brandi Carlile level, maybe I would.
I mean, her wife can also sing and joined her on stage to sing. So
think about it. Also with, comic books is the main thing I do, graphic novels. The movie thing is the new thing. But like the sort of disrespect for comics as an industry which has changed in the last 15
I was
years.
going to say, I've seen the change.
But it's what I grew up with, right?
Sure.
So, okay, just a geek deep dive really quick. In the 1950s, a guy wrote a book called Seduction of the Innocent. And he was a psychiatrist, and he said that comic books were causing children to be deviant, criminal, and homosexual. So,
the comics are turning them gay.
Right. So parents started burning comic books in the street. Comic book publishers had to testify before Congress. And the result was that American comics were like stuck in infancy.
Yeah.
And like they could like in Europe and in Asia, they thought of them as like just a medium. So they could be like adult stories, children's stories. But in America, they were like censorship. There was a censorship board called the Comics Code that lasted all the way until 2001.
Shut up.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. I mean, obviously I've seen it through Hollywood, and McCarthyism and the music industry. I mean, it's burned in my brain watching both John Denver and Frank Zappa defend the right to make music and not have to put a BS label on it. Like the fact that Tipper Gore saw her daughter listening to Purple Rain and that's when she decided to freak out. I was like, honestly, your kid had good taste. But it's wild how all of the arts have gone through this. And to me, it just proves the resiliency of the artists themselves, but the respect component or the fact that how people seriously take you or not has a lot to do with what they think or understand about your medium.
It's super interesting because my parents are in construction and they house themselves out of a big building. So they have an empty second half that they rent out to a comic artist. And it's a legit operation. They are shipping stuff in it. Like
absolutely.
Nobody would see that and say, this is not a real job. This is not a real business. I mean, they are in there cranking stuff out all day, every day. And so it's just, and I mean, it's interesting because my parents, they were like, I've never, been next to that business. I've never known that business, but then they got to know these people and they're like, this is so cool. They like share the stuff they're making with us. And like my parents like customized the office for them to be like, so the artist could have a space to draw and have like a board to kind of like put up his comics and stuff. And it's just, I don't know. It's
like
just
where
really
else
cool.
would those worlds meet sometimes?
It's random,
it's very rare.
but it's really cool.
Yeah. So when I think about the generation who raised me, like teachers and whatever, those are all people who were children when all of this was happening. So their opinion of comics was formed by all of that. So I had teachers who would like openly mock me reading comics as a child.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And now like graphic novels, I know some folks only read graphic novels because that medium works the best for them. Like this is how they understand the world. And like, it has been such an interesting shift. Like I saw the movie Ghost World before having read any of his work. I didn't know because I just was never in literally I read the cartoons in the newspaper every Sunday, the funnies.
Same.
Which I loved dearly, but it's such a it's almost a different world from, the deep storylines and things that come out of the like graphic novel world. One other thing I actually want to ask both of you, because you didn't grow up here, but and I think that's a really helpful perspective for this, is there was this quote from Colorado Theater Guild president and local theater company co-artistic director Betty Hart, who said, "And yet our own population, as well as around the country, doesn't yet know what an arts mecca Colorado is." Olivia, you mentioned you grew up in Kansas City. I have family there, and I know part of it is because my family's an art family, but like I grew up going to visit the Nelson Atkins Art Museum, which is incredible. There's the Mutual Musicians Foundation, which is like one of the longest running jazz.
Yeah, the Jazz Museum
Union.
There is crazy.
And a
like bunch of amazing museums. Kansas City is like in my mind an arts hub. And I don't know, it's interesting. Like I mentioned before, I was listening to the CPR's work on this, and they said, there's the professional sports that is like overshadowed by the arts, like consumption wise of like how much people are going to it. But then all of that is like overshadowed by how much the outdoor industry is a thing here. And for me, that is so true because before I moved here, I only came to Colorado to ski. I came out to Colorado every spring to ski, and I knew nothing about Denver. All I knew was we drove through Denver, and I thought it was kind of gross, and I thought it kind of smelled, and I was like,
we did have our own brown cloud situation.
Yeah, and it was so trafficy, and I just saw it as congested, and you
didn't make a connection to art.
No, not at all. And like, I knew nothing. All I knew was the outdoor industry in Colorado. I'm like, I knew skiing. I knew people went out in the summer to like mountain bike and stuff. That's what I knew. I had literally no thoughts about Denver as a city, as an artscape, until I moved here and was like, oh my God, that's mostly what I'm doing here now. I moved out here thinking I was going to ski all the time. And then I found out what I-70 was and decided I can't spend all of my weekend in my car. But like, yeah, it is so much more than that to me. But that like stat they said where it's like all of it's overshadowed by the outdoor industry. Yeah, that was my perception.
I can see that
for sure.
Alan, you grew up in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Which is extremely rich in arts and culture. Like, I mean, I'm a music person, so it's like Outkast, Glass Knight, Mastodon, Ciara, like Freaknik, a thing I never got to go to, but God, I wish I could. Like an incredible street festival during spring break that brought like Biggie out and like Too Short, Uncle Luke. But like that's my view of Atlanta. You grew up there. How do you feel about arts from that perspective of growing up there? And then how did you view when you came to Colorado?
Well, so the Atlanta that I grew up in was very steeped in that capitalist idea of art. So like if you are not rich as an artist in the first 2 years you're doing it, then people are like, why are you doing this? You're irresponsible, And that's kind of like a big part of the attitude. And the way that I ended up coming to Denver was that there was a punk ska group called Five Iron Frenzy.
Of course.
Okay. They would come to Atlanta on tour. I met them. We became friends. And they invited me to visit here. And so in Atlanta, there's a part of town called Little 5 Points that's super artsy. It's where I would go hang out to just not be persecuted as an artist, And then when Five Iron invited me here, I was like, Denver's like a giant Little 5 Points. And it felt like so good for my soul. Like it's such a good place to be an artist. 2003 is when I moved here. Okay. So the visit was probably the year before. Yeah. But I decided that I was going to move here because I had never been around people who were like, I might be broke forever, but I'm just going to be an artist and I love it.
And in 2003, you could really ride that vibe in Denver and still like live in Capitol Hill.
It's
and
true.
Like,
Yeah. It was very different.
That's an interesting perspective to me because, like, again, I'm from the outside looking in. Atlanta is, I say it again, Outkast.
Right.
They changed music and fashion and every perception anyone had about hip hop. Like, but you're saying from the working artist perspective, it can look a lot different. Yeah,
because I mean, okay, so I was a lifeguard in Atlanta and when I was a teenager. And my first year, one guy, his little brother got a record deal, and that was Crisscross. And then another guy who worked with us, the next year he got a record deal, and he was part of Goody Mob, which, is attached to Outkast, Dungeon Family. Yeah. And so like I would see all of that, but of course for every one of them, there's like 1,000 other people who are rapping and doing stuff and not getting anywhere. Yeah. And I was one of them. And if you couldn't show that you were charting or that you were making a whole bunch of money then people really would be disrespectful about it, Like, I was like 27 and they're like, you're still rapping? And so, that kind of attitude does not exist in the same way here. And so for my own sort of peace, it was just a better environment for me to be at. Like, I certainly miss the cultural reinforcement of Atlanta. Like, it was a black city. Yes. And Denver is not. Yes. But I grew up in that. But in terms of a place where it's great to be an artist, Colorado has been very good to me, and I love it for that.
I love that. That's just really helpful to hear, just because like I can get very cynical about it. And I'm always like my friend Rue Johnson, who works for Meow Wolf now, Rue. But you know Rue. Yeah. I met her through, we were both journalists, and I was like, who moves from New York City to Denver. But she found a whole other world here.
Yeah.
And
I'm
it's
trying to
just like,
convince my best friend to do that.
yeah, like it's a different, like I lived in New York for a little bit. It was amazing, but you're one of 5 billion people doing what you're doing, right? Everybody's in a band trying to, get a record deal or
There's also
whatever.
no trees.
Also, New York smells bad, okay? No, I love New York, but like I went there and what I did was I came back and was like, oh, this is all the stuff I actually can do here because I'm one of 5 people doing it, not one of 5,000 people doing it.
Yeah, there's that. Also, in at least, I don't know what Atlanta is like now for young artists, but when you're creating art, it was very competitive and not in like in a good way. Like nobody would show up to support each other. Whereas like here, if I make comics, there's like a few comics collectives and they all show up to each other's events.
Yeah,
You know?
I love that.
And I found the same thing with musicians. Like they would show up to each other's events, and it was not like that in Atlanta that I grew up in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is one of the main reasons I've ever sustained doing anything in the arts world is my friends always show up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even if like that's not the medium they're into or whatever, they're like, I just wanted to come and support you.
Yeah, it's kind of like they think it's a loss to them for you to be successful. Yeah.
That's a bummer. Well, this has been such a great conversation and I'm going to keep thinking about it forever, but I would love to know what our listeners think. How do you feel about the arts in Colorado? What is your perception of that? Are you a part of it? Are you a 5-iron head? I didn't know that there were, I saw them in high school a ton because ska was huge. They opened for every major big ska band that came through. But give us a call, 720-500-5418, and let us know what you think about these numbers and the economics of arts. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, our wins and fails of the week.
You know, when most of us want to learn a new language, it's not because we're dying to memorize grammar tables or ace a quiz. It's because we actually want to speak it out in the real world with real people. And that's what Babbel is great at, getting you there fast. Hey, it's Michael Zibiak, Chief Revenue Officer here at CityCast. My daughter's a senior in high school, and after graduation, we're taking a father-daughter trip to Spain. And right now, my Spanish is, let's just say, very high school level. Shout out to Senior Patty from Syosset High School. You tried. When we're in Spain, I'd love to do more than just ask where the bathroom is. I want to be able to chat with locals, order tapas, and actually connect, not just read the menu and point. So I'm starting with Babbel. It's all about small steps, big wins, and it's super easy to fit into my life. Honestly, with how busy things get here at CityCast, I love that Babbel's bite-sized, 10-minute lessons fit right into my day, between meetings or over my morning coffee. I'm excited to pick up some real-world Spanish before we go, so we can experience Spain like locals, not tourists. Doesn't that sound better? Right now, Babbel's got a special deal for our listeners. Get up to 55% off your subscription at babbel.com/citycast. That's BABBEL.com/citycast for up to 55% off. Rules and restrictions may apply. Gracias and adios.
Okay, we're back. Time for our wins and fails of the week. Rocky Mountain highs and lows, things that ruled, things that sucked. As always, we start on the fails so that we can end on a good note. Olivia, what's your fail this week?
My fail goes out to the Dougco School Board.
What are they up
not
to?
surprising.
What are they at
They've
again?
been on it. But so voters just voted out. Well, a lot of them were termed out, but they're more conservative school board in favor of a more progressive bunch that is coming in. So they're at like one of their last meetings, and this current group just really tried to like slide one in under the wire right before they leave.
And it's a doozy.
Yeah. So right after the election, where these people, they voted in more progressives, 2 items were added to the board's agenda for this final meeting. A resolution extending the contract term for charter schools from 5 years to 10 years, and then a discussion of transgender athletes in sports.
Okay.
And so this was just a very packed meeting. There are some clips of people interrupting each other and tensions getting high. And there's no resolution yet. They haven't come to a conclusion yet. But it's just a fail. Just them trying to like throw one more thing in under the wire. You know, people have voted. We want a more progressive school board for this term, which we saw overwhelmingly in a lot of the school board races around the state. A lot of union-backed candidates, and just like
even Durango,
more of a progressive switch. And the fact that after they got these results, they just kind of like eked this one under the wire. Just
dirty.
I don't know. Just sucks. I mean, I get it. It's in their right to do so, but just kind of gave me the ick. So that's my fail.
Yeah.
Ellen, what's your fail this week?
Whatever's happening on Colfax between Colorado and Broadway, the construction.
Oh, the BRT.
You mean whatever's happening? The thing we've been talking about for the thing that consumes our lives?
I'm like, man, I hate driving. You know, like
They want you to hate driving, so you get on the BRT.
Get on the bus.
well, mission accomplished.
Except there's no bus yet, so you got to hate it a little while longer.
For I don't know when it's going to be done, but my experience with Denver-based construction projects is years.
Never ending. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You know, there's that meme that's like, I want to be like I-25 in Santa Fe and always keep working on myself. You know?
Man.
Yeah.
What's your favorite business on Colfax?
City Comics, I think. City Records.
Oh,
But they're a comic shop and a record shop. Yeah, they're a cool place. They're lots of,
So go support them, because they're probably also struggling with this
shouts.
construction.
Park on a side street.
Yeah. And also check it out. There's a couple of parking lots. I feel like
Carpool.
Lions Lair is able to use the Walgreens parking lot at night, which is super cool. But like, still go down there. Even
Always
if it's hard,
park in a
'cause it is-
Walgreens parking lot if you can, just to stick it to Walgreens, because I hate them.
I mean, if you want to get mad at Walgreens, just Google the Aladdin Theater and see what we knocked down to build that.
If you want to get mad at Walgreens, just walk in there one time and you will be pissed.
It is the seventh circle of hell.
I
for
hate
sure.
it. Go park in their parking lot and park sideways across all the spots. Anyway.
Okay, I'll finish out before we go to wins. My feel is Revision firing the promotoras after unionizing efforts move forward. We've been watching this story boil, slow burn over here the last couple of months as the promotoras, who are community health workers essentially for this food access program. They're mostly women of color. Maybe they're all women of color from the neighborhood directly in Westwood. And they had been speaking out about working conditions, and they moved forward with unionizing through the UFCW Local 7. And then Revision this week fired 5 of those employees who were part of the unionizing efforts. And according to Rocky Mountain PBS and an Instagram I saw from Revision where the comments had been disabled, but that's another story. Executive Director Mariana Del Hierro told the staff that the organization doesn't have enough funding to support the youth programs these 5 promotoras worked on. But a promotora herself told Rocky Mountain PBS that Revision leadership talked to workers about funding challenges prior to the union, and at the time told them layoffs would not be a concern. So, I mean, this is a small, very, very community-oriented, from the folks that work there to the folks they serve, a food access organization, which is important now more than ever. This just doesn't seem like a good look.
It's not a good look. But from an employer standpoint, especially like today, I feel like you should never say layoffs are not a concern. That is such an irresponsible thing to say. Like, it's stuff changes overnight, you know, and it just makes you look stupid when it happens. And you're like, oh no, it's not going to happen. Like, why would you say that? Don't say that.
And this
Don't
is
say that.
It's again, it's such a specialized workforce. These women are from the neighborhood where they're working and serving every day. And it's this really incredible work they do because they connect directly with the community they're serving. They're trusted leaders in the community. And that I could see you sowing a lot of distrust for Revision's work going forward if their employees feel like this came surprisingly right after the union efforts.
Yeah, it's not a good coincidence.
No.
And also turning off the comments on Instagram.
Yeah.
Thank you, Olivia. I was like, am I just being paranoid about this? Or
No.
does it feel like not a good way to go about it?
It's funny.
It feels weird.
It's let the people speak. They're gonna quote your story anyway. They're gonna
screenshot you and
they're gonna say what they're gonna say.
So Ugh. All right, let's do wins. Alan, what's your win this week?
All right, so our movie has been going to a lot of film festivals and stuff like that. But part of my living as an artist has been not letting gatekeepers stop me, and just sort of creating my own opportunities. I don't take it personally, but we did not get into Denver Film Festival.
I'm sorry.
But the win is that for this screening, there are at least 150 people signed up to show up.
Well,
so
yeah.
Denver is showing up
Yes.
to support
That's
what
amazing.
I'm doing. And that is a win. That's beautiful to me.
That's awesome. And you're going to do a conversation, right, with
Yeah.
Representative Leslie Herod.
Yeah, we'll have a Q&A after. As I mentioned, Victor's flying into town, the director. So Leslie Herod will interview us for the Q&A, and that should be a lot of fun.
That's
awesome.
amazing. It's at Lighthouse.
Yeah.
And if you've never, this is just a great community of people and one of those organizations that really supports writers at all levels, which I love.
Yeah, and actually I think the conversation is going to be really interesting because the questions from the audience will be writers asking questions.
Oh, yeah.
After having seen the movie, and I'm looking forward to what that is.
I know, honestly, that sounds even better because
Yeah.
they're going to have specifics
Right.
about how you literally built the thing that you're showing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We'll put a link in the show notes. I'm guessing it's not sold out, but it could be
There's still a
pretty
few
close.
spaces. Yeah, we're getting there.
Get in there
Yeah.
if you can. I'll go. My Uncle Ed is having what I know to be his first art show.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
At Core Art Space in the 40 West Arts District.
Uncle
tonight.
Ed, nice.
Uncle Ed Coots, any of
out
his
Uncle
fellow
Ed.
former, he's a Denver public librarian, retired.
Oh, love that.
I know the Ed heads out there. You always
Ed
reach out to me
heads.
whenever I
Yeah,
talk
tap
about my
in,
uncle.
W's in the chat.
But he's been a prolific artist my whole life. My basement is full of his paintings because we don't have enough room to put them all up.
Yeah.
We only have 3 of them in our tiny house up showing, but he's always just kind of been low key about it. He's done other things. He was a RTD bus driver. But he's always just been painting. He went to art school.
He's the
and
example of what we were talking about.
Yeah.
he's just kind of
Yeah.
making art in spite of whatever.
Yeah.
And
So cool.
his best friend from art school, Reed Weimer, is huge here in the arts community. He helped start the Navajo Art District. I'm sure he's been pushing my uncle to do this for literally 40 years. And so if you want to come out and support my Uncle Ed's first show that I know of, might be another show, Uncle Ed, but in my 45 years,
Underground.
I've never been to one of your art shows. It's at Core Art Space in the 40 West Arts District. And I'm just really proud of my uncle.
Nice.
Hell yeah,
Show
Uncle
off his
Ed.
work.
Get it.
Now you get to see the things that our entire family's households are full of. His amazing work. Olivia, take us out. What's your win?
My win, surprisingly, goes to Representative Lauren Boebert. Okay.
Oh, girl.
Hey.
What did little girl do?
So Miss Girl, she so as if you guys have been online, tapped in at all, there's been some happenings with the Epstein files, and there is an effort to get the Justice Department to release case files. And so there was a petition going around that a lot of lawmakers signed to say, like, yes, we want to force a vote. We want these files released. And Republican Representative Lauren Boebert's name was on that list to release the Epstein files, which, surprising, but this has been her brand. She has been saying release the Epstein files. But interestingly enough, Trump actually, they took her into secret meetings. All of this is happening behind closed doors. Kyle Clark did a great segment on this
saw
that
that.
I
We'll
will
put a link
link
to it, yeah.
which I loved. It was great. But, a lot of this happened behind closed doors. But, it's pretty... Everyone thinks that they were trying to tell her, please take your name off this list because she's a known Trump girl, like
Out now,
ally.
unabashed,
And they were like,
yeah.
take your name off, girl. And she did not do it. And I was like pretty I don't know if I was surprised. I mean, we did this whole series on Lauren Boebert last year.
Put a
We
link to the show
learned
notes.
a lot about her, been in her kitchen, and she is very stubborn. And I think that stubbornness.
Watched her make beef stroganoff while
She was
listening to
making beef
Jason Aldean.
stroganoff, and I think that stubbornness was on show here, and she did not take her name off, and she was one of, I think, 4 Republicans whose names stayed on there, including Marjorie Taylor Greene from Georgia. another
I should know where she's from.
Boebert
It's
adjacent.
Georgia.
Is
Yeah.
it? Oh, yeah.
It haunts me that the two states that I've spent most of my life in had these two people representing me.
Bananas.
Yeah.
So anyway, randomly, win goes to Boebert.
I honestly love when Boebert's an accidental feminist. I know she doesn't try to be because I asked her about it, but like,
Well, she posted something about this was what a feminist America would look like because I was looking at her Twitter, and so she already bashed feminism like 2 seconds later. But actions
but
speak louder than
sometimes
words,
you're
I
working
guess.
for the cause even when you don't want to be.
I know, and she said, "I want to hold people accountable." So when the worst person you know does something right once in a while, we got to give it up. So good
Kudos.
job, I guess.
Kudos to Lauren Boebert. Now stick to that, please. Please
Keep
stick to
that brand.
Oh my gosh. This was so fun. Olivia, Alan, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you guys
This
for
was
having
great.
me.
Thanks.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. Our producers this week were Paul Caroli, Olivia Jewel Love, PJ Shahamet, and JD Lopez. We record at Dude IDK Studios in 5 Points with support from Jacob Rupp and Nick Holmby. Peyton Garcia and Adrian Gonzalez write our morning newsletter, Hey Denver. Abby Madigan runs our social media. I'm your host, Bree Davies. Our music is by Los Mocachetes with additional mixing by Tyler Lindgren. If you haven't already, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at CityCast Denver and tell the former members of Five Iron Frenzy about us next time you see them. You can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Denver neighbor today at membership.citycast.fm. You can sign up for our daily newsletter and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm. See you next week.
Guess what? CityCast has some news. I'm Sean McPherson, the host of CityCast Twin Cities.
And I'm Jane C. Hu, and I'm the host of CityCast Seattle. Hey, if you have a friend in one of our cities, can you text them for us?
Yeah, something, simple like, hey, how's that rash doing? And do you listen to podcasts? Because I have one you're definitely going to like. After that, tell them that CityCast has helped you become more informed, more involved, and more connected to your amazing city.
We're going to help that person you know in Seattle who's been trying to make friends.
And we're also going to do that for that guy you only kind of knew in college who moved back to the Twin Cities after graduation.
Don't we all have that guy?
Yeah, and usually that guy is named Todd.
So did you text them yet?
Jane, let's just wait a minute. We don't want to rush anybody. We'll do a little small talk. How's everything going in Seattle?
Beautiful, beautiful. Fall leaves popping. How about Twin Cities?
Today, beautiful and sunshiny in St. Paul. Okay, Jane, I bet they are done texting by now, and I just want to remind them, hey, you, please tell that friend to subscribe to CityCast Twin Cities or Seattle, wherever you get your podcasts.
Or if you don't want to text them and you're really just on Instagram sending them DMs all the time with like funny videos, send them a DM of our latest videos. You can find us at CityCast Twin Cities or CityCast Seattle on Instagram. Thanks.